I've been using your wisdom for the last 2 years.
I haven't got any wisdom to give you. I don't remember giving you any wisdom.
I think to myself on occasions, what would Anthony say? I go, oh yeah. And then I have a little sense of calm happens in my body, and I suddenly become aware of, oh, that frown has gone, or my shoulders have just dropped, and I go, that feels nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we can call self-regulation, when your system is recovering itself as a consequence of having the experience of how to come back home.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh yeah, I've just recovered. I'm back home. And most of the time we're out of it, having a bit of a number, reacting, a bit overly busy, over-frazzled, and then you realise, oh goodness, my shoulders are dropping, I'm back home. And that's a great sign that your system knows the way back. And when you drop with your neck and shoulders, you'll also be quietening in the nervous system, and the two things will happen always simultaneously.
Yeah. Even when you say it, I can feel it.
Yeah. Now that's interesting, because maybe you're responding to my voice, because I haven't touched you yet. I haven't guided you. Now here's the interesting thing. An Alexander lesson isn't just the hands-on work. You were talking earlier before we started today about voice. Now the voice isn't just to give information, and as I was half-teasingly saying to you, I don't give wisdom. I've got nothing clever to tell you. But the hands give you a communication of come back home, recover. Now my voice is saying exactly the same thing. Whatever I talk about, I can talk about the weather. But the voice will be giving you the same communication as the touch. There's a third thing. What do you think that might be? Voice, touch, what other modality would you be influenced by when you're in a connection with me?
Visual?
Yes. You're seeing my gesture, my face, and the movement of my hands. They also influence. In other words, you and I are influencing each other all the time in this sort of co-relationship, this co-regulation. You and I are influencing each other, hopefully for the good.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a certain state of mind and body, and you come in, say, frazzled after a crazy journey, you will be influenced by my being, which would be manifest through my voice, my touch, and my gestures.
Yeah.
And all of that is one. I think we should do, basically, if you came to me for another 150 lessons, we'd do the same thing. I'd sit you and stand you and walk you and talk you.
Great.
And it would be an evolution. Each time there'd be another layer, another level, another higher capacity for recovery and for maintaining that recovery in different activities. So we'll always do movement, we'll always do activity, and hopefully I will also be regulating you with my voice, particularly hands, and gesture.
And is there anything we can do for my voice? Because sometimes I turn on my camera to film a voiceover or a talking head.
Yes, yeah.
And it's really bizarre because my voice feels very constricted.
Very good.
It's almost like I need to settle in, but I can feel it's like a gentle restriction. And I know that people will be able to pick up on it. But I'm talking now quite normal.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm thinking, I wonder if I can Alexander my voice in those situations.
Well, right now you are, because we're working together already. Now, in other situations, you may not be in quite the same condition as you're in right now, because you're already buying into the work right now. So, what we can explore today is, I'm going to give you the experience of talking like you are right now, sitting, standing, talking, and you'll experience even more deeply a way of maintaining yourself in a regulated condition which will not frazzle your voice. And that will be some sort of memory, a re-memory, because it's how you speak when you're not under pressure.
Yeah.
But when you are under pressure, and when you're a little bit hurried and a little bit worried, or the stakes are high and the camera is rolling and you've got to perform, like Alexander, then the voice will start to crack. It'll start to be distorted because the brain has reacted. And that will manifest itself as a certain overtension of the larynx and the voice box.
Yeah.
And our job is to be able to offer you all of these stimuli of talking, reciting, and all the rest of it, but not activating the distortion. Maintaining your condition, like now, of equanimity, of peace. I'm okay, and I can perform, but without my habitual reaction to performance, effort, trying. And then that can evolve over time to, hey, I can maintain this in an audition. I can maintain this in a real performance. I can maintain this with 30 cameras trained on me. I can maintain this when I'm late for an appointment, and so on. In other words, higher and higher levels of stimuli, and you can maintain your non-reaction. And that's the purpose of Alexander lessons. Not once experienced, you're done and dusted, but to keep on developing a capacity, a bit like in a monastery. You're developing a Zen monastery, you develop certain mental capacities for maintaining equanimity in the face of life's stimuli. And it's the same here. Over and over again, repetition, no reaction, repetition, no reaction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what we can do. So we'll start with you having your feet a little wider apart. Yeah, and I'll have the stool there. So it's interesting about what you're saying about the voice, because the voice is a barometer of your mind-body condition, if you think about it. And we know that when we listen to people. We know if they're upset or frazzled. We know if they're in an up state or a pretty down, depressed state. Everything you can hear in the voice. So the voice is a barometer. It's not the thing in a way that we fix. But actually, it's like a feedback loop from the whole of your being. So when your way of being in the world shifts, your voice will shift. At the same time as the rest of your body. So at the same time as your voice sounding better, your lower back will be more open, your neck will be freer, your digestion will work better, your eyes will be more clear, and so on and so forth. It's all together. That all the functionings of the human organism would be improved at the same time. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to not do something. I'm going to move your head and you let me move you. So I'm moving you there, and you can see your mind is engaged in not helping me right now, yeah? Feel free to ask any questions while we're working. It doesn't disturb me. So again, head can be there. Yeah, do you hear that gurgle in your tummy?
Oh, I wasn't aware of it.
So that's a sign of very deep relaxation. Often happens in an Alexander lesson.
Really?
Yeah. It's basically a sign that you're moving from flight and fight to rest and digest. Rest and digest, as in the stomach is ready for available food. Now, I'm going to move you again. Nothing to do. You're the allower and I'm the mover. That's also a certain state of mind and body. You're available. You're not frozen. So as I was saying, at the same time as your voice recovering its nice resonant quality, your breathing will improve, digestion will improve, poise will improve, freedom of the neck muscles will happen, and so on, all of it together. Now, what I want from you right now is take the hips back and bend the knees. We're going to take it into movement. Just bend the knees. Yeah, and at the stool, stop. And then stand up. And bend the knees. And then wait there. Wait, yeah. Heels down. Bend the knees. All the way. And then stop there for a while. Wait. And then stand up with the heels. That's it. Bend the knees. Yep. And heels. Good. Bend the knees. And then stop at the stool. I'll take you back. Wait. And I've got the hand. Don't help me. Same thing. I'm going to move your head. Don't help. I'll move the head over to the left or the right. Yeah. So that's okay, that's okay, that's okay, and that's okay. There's no right position for your head. So staying in this regulated condition, I'm going to move you forwards, and you're not going to collapse, nor are you going to get ready. So there's two things you're not doing. You're not getting ready, you're not going, ugh. You're not going to collapse. You're not going to sleep. I'll move you backwards, yeah, and I'll move you forwards without relax and without preparation. So nothing has changed. Can you see I've just moved you backwards and forwards, and you, the mind-body you, hasn't shifted a gear. It's staying in gear, in a rather okay gear. In a good condition, in a condition that you're all right, that you're not crackling the voice. So in this condition, your voice is fine. If you want to talk, stand up with the heels, and then bend the knees, and then stop. Heels, bend the knees, and stop. And wait. Don't rush, do nothing, stand up with the heels. Yeah. What's it like to move like that?
It feels good. That feels good. I'm aware that I don't do that usually.
Yeah, most people wouldn't. Can you put your finger on what it is that feels good? Because I'm sure it does feel good, and I can see why, but do you know why it might feel good? And that why wouldn't most people operate like that in sitting and standing, for example? What's the difference between this good and the everyday?
I'd normally throw myself down.
Correct. You'd normally throw yourself down, boom, and crash land. And the brain would be rushing ahead into the future, crash landing. You'd be at the chair before you know where you've gone.
Yeah.
You'd just charge at it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be just, yeah, I'm here, and now I'm going to bend the knees, but I'm not crash landing, bend the knees, and wait, I'm not crash landing, and I'm not crash landing, I'm going to bend the knees, I'll reach the stool, sure, heels, up I come, bend the knees. There's an absence of crash landing, can you see that?
Yeah.
But there's also an absence of snatching out of the chair. That your face and jaw and neck is not getting involved on the way out of the chair either. You with me? There's something about you that's being sustained, that's looking after itself. Now there's the interesting thing. What condition of the mind is being sustained when you're sitting or standing or talking to me?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So like, your neck and shoulders didn't change very much on the way in and out of a chair, right? It's like, not very much happened. Now, reversing it, what's going on in your brain that's also being sustained, rather than crash landing, which you said you'd normally do, what would you say you're doing in the brain that is different to crash landing? Bend the knees. What condition is your mind in here?
Feels sustained and very present.
Very exactly, you're sustaining presence. Wonderful, rather than jumping into the future. Yes.
Just
You've got it.
throwing myself willy-nilly all over the place.
Yeah, bull in a china shop stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff. You're not doing that right now. You're sustaining presence. Tell that to Eckhart Tolle. You're sustaining presence. Yeah. Now you could say that's the meaning of mindfulness, or living in the moment,
Yes.
which is an interesting idea.
Lots of interpretations of it.
A lot. A hell of a lot of interpretations. So I would say this is a way of moving towards mindfulness, or living in the present, without trying to do it, but almost happening through the back door. Because I think trying to be present doesn't work. Trying to be mindful makes you overly concentrated and rather fixed. I'm going to be mindful, I'm going to be mindful. It's a bit of a mind trick. But allowing mindfulness, which is what you're doing right now, is a different game. Just finding yourself there. So I'm going to move you forwards. Nothing else. Yeah. Nothing to do. I'll move you backwards and stop. Yeah. And still, no change as you're here and here. That's fine. And don't rush. Put your feet a little bit closer to the chair for now. That's it. And do nothing in the neck and back. And without snatching out of the chair, stand up with the heels. Brilliant. Yeah. Same thing as you go onto the tip of your toes. And then down to the heels. Yeah. And onto the toes. Down to the heels. And stop. And the head can be there, the head can be there, the head can be there. Stop. So the key of everything you're doing here, whether you come in here and want to talk better, or get rid of a back pain, or resolve tension in the jaw, or play a violin with more freedom. It's the same thing. The game is the same. The game is developing the ability not to react to that particular stimulus and stimuli in general. So like now, you're not reacting to the idea of sit down by going crash landing. You're staying here. You're staying in the moment. You're just here. The chair is there, and you're going to sit in it, but it's not dominating you. It's not frazzling your brain. It's not creating a reaction. So you just bend the knees all the way. Yeah. And you see that you've got there without damaging your brain body, without distorting yourself. Yeah. So even now, you can see I'm moving the arm. You might be playing the violin, conducting an orchestra, or doing whatever else you want to do, working on a computer. And what's going on in the neck and back as you're moving an arm?
Nothing.
Nothing, yeah. So often people say, what are you going to learn in an Alexander lesson? I say, nothing and plenty of it.
Yeah.
Plenty of it. The more nothing I can give you, the better I'm teaching.
It's so abstract, isn't it?
It's abstract, but you can sense it. It's very real.
Oh, I can totally...
The idea of nothing is very abstract, but when you experience the nothing, you can't mistake it. The nothing happening, the non-reaction to stuff, to me moving an arm, to you talking, to coming in and out of a chair. Yeah, to being. Non-reacting, just sitting there, just being you and being okay. And then you could say, well, what's the purpose of having a number of sessions? Is that this thing evolves and you become more resilient. Otherwise it's a bit fragile, and you might find, oh, I'm losing the plot a little bit more than I want to. You'd hope that over a number of lessons you become a bit more able to not lose the plot. Of course you will, and I will, but hopefully less as a result of the experience of lessons.
Would you put it in the self-regulation category?
Definitely. I think it is a development through co-regulation, through working with a teacher. Over time, the whole purpose is for self-regulation, self-soothing, self-regulation, self-management, yes.
Fascinating.
You could say from the first lesson, you're hopefully being taught something about autonomy, that actually you can do more for yourself over time, rather than always having to go to somebody to help you. But I think there is a temporary process of, you could call it healthy dependency, where you need to go through a series of evolutions in order to develop capacities for self-regulation. So I'll move you forwards, stop. I'm moving you backwards. Nothing in the neck, nothing in the back. You can see the neck is nice and free, the back is beautifully lengthening and widening. Don't change anything. You're not snatching out of a stool, you're waiting there. You could get up, you could come back, and then stand with the heels. Yeah. And you can sense that getting out of a chair didn't distort you.
No.
You just, I'm here. I got out of a chair. I didn't get out of a chair.
Yeah.
And screw the voice up.
Yeah.
So you are obviously functioning at a higher level with your voice, with the muscles, with your breath, with your lower back, with your neck, with your eyes, all of it at the same time. And with your nervous system. It's all the same. All one. One mind body. Alexander called it the psychophysical self. I'm going to repeat that because there was a bit of a there was an ambulance. Alexander called it the psychophysical self. So nothing to do and wait there. Yeah. So now another challenge, you could say. I have to give you challenges, but not so that you screw up, so that I can help you maintain your highest level of functioning in the face of challenges, because that's life. So, if I talked about politics, it's, oh my goodness, that may make you frazzle for some people. We talk about something difficult. People talk about their bosses at work, and I say, you know what, we can't talk about that today because it's too much of a stimulus. But eventually, as you build up resilience and your capacity for non-reaction, another month from now, we'll talk about your boss and you'll be able to stay with your freedom. Do you see the idea of evolution?
I do.
Yeah, so no reaction, bend the knees. Yeah. Hand at the stool, wait there, I'll take you backwards. And I'm going to move you over here. Stop. And here, and here, and here, and stop, and here. Come with the hands as you here, and wait. Yeah. And I don't have to get you up at this point. I'll take you back. I'll take you forwards. Hold yourself there. And then, your feet are underneath you, stand up with the heels. Yeah. And again, what happened in your neck and back as you got out of a chair?
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed. So that's your evidence that your mind is in a good condition, a resilient condition, that it's not changing just because you're standing. It's not changing just because you're talking. Your voice isn't cracking just because you're being interviewed or interviewing. You're staying in the condition of non-reaction. Nothing changed. It's the same thing. Non-reaction, nothing changed. That is the higher level of what you're here to learn, not to change.
Yeah.
To maintain your homeostasis, your balance, your ease, your high level of functioning, your good use of self, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
In the face of life's challenges. To maintain, sustain, not change, not react. And now, onto your toes. down to the heels, stop. Onto the toes, down to the heels, and stop. Yeah, and then the head can be there. Yeah. And the arms, doesn't matter where they are. And now, your hips can bend there, backwards, your knees bend towards the window, stop. Heels. Bend the knees. Heels. Bend the knees. Heels. Bend the knees. Heels. Yes, and bend the knees. So your back is also maintaining or sustaining its length and width. Heels. It's not getting pinched on the way up or on the way down. And then you can walk around.
That felt a lot better than last time.
Yeah, it's evolving. Yeah, you can look around the room. In other words, there's no fix, there's no right Alexander walk. There's just you walking without trying to commit it to memory or a method or a strategy of Alexander walking, because there's no such thing. There's just you walking in this condition.
Yeah.
And as you walk in this condition, it's regulated. Do you get that?
Yeah, I love that when you just go, and I'm like, ooh.
That's
I feel
it.
like I don't know, you've just set a flower petal off into the air or something. It's,
You must be a poet.
it's such a great feeling.
A flower petal into the
I don't know.
universe. I like that. Can I use that?
When you blow the dandelion seeds
yeah.
in, it just goes, phew. Yeah, it's a great feeling.
So you're going to tell everyone that Alexander makes you feel like a dandelion petal?
Yeah.
That's a new one. I've never had that one before.
I feel like a dandelion seed.
I'll take it as a compliment.
The way it just floats off. Whee!
Good stuff. Right. Shall we take that into some table work?
Yeah.
Shall we do that?
Love that.
Okay. You get yourself on here. Just get yourself in the middle of the table. Perfect. And bend your knees upwards. And I'm going to guide you. I'm going to take the weight of your head, and you're gently going to let the back roll down, roll down, roll down, and I've got your head. Perfect. Exactly.
That'd be a luxury, getting into bed like that every night, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? Yeah.
That'd set the nervous system up for a good night's sleep.
You can do it before you get into bed on the floor, because it actually is even more supportive than a bed, which is a very interesting question, because people say, can they do Alexander practice on the bed? Well, you could, but there'd be more value doing it against a hard surface like this, because the hard surface is pushing back against you and you're melting down. With a bed, it's a little bit, you don't quite get the same gravity and anti-gravity support. So my job is to keep you alert, even though, of course, it's relaxing, but I don't want you to go to sleep, otherwise you squash the back of the neck. So I'm here, I'm going to lift up your head, and I'm the mover. And you can see what you're doing right now is something we could probably call surrender. Does that make sense? You're surrendering control.
The neck feels so free.
Yeah. So it's a really important element in Alexander, this idea of coming off control freak, because we're all control freaks on some level. I'm in control. But when you come into your first Alexander session, you're asked to do nothing while the teacher moves you. So in a way, the control freakness is challenged from the first moment. And when you come off the control, if you think about it, right now, I'm the mover, takes your brain into a different gear. Control freakness is a gear of I'm ready for the next thing. I'm prepared. But when you allow and surrender to the movement of the teacher, you're dropping into yourself. You're dropping into a place of surrender and safety. And I can imagine it's quite difficult for a lot of people to surrender.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of room for understanding Alexander as There's an emotional healing as well, as you can probably understand. When we've been faced with early childhood experiences which aren't always easy, traumas, distresses, wounds, losses, then mind-body reacts and adapts and prepares itself for the next emergency. It doesn't surrender, it's in control. And that over-control creates trouble. Keeps the neck tight, keeps the back rigid, keeps the jaw fixed and so on, because we need to be safe and in control. Do you see? But the idea of surrendering back to biology is part of the healing process.
Wow.
So I have to invite you, in a way, invite your whole system back into feeling safe enough to let go of some of those adaptations. Leave the knee there, that's it. Mm-hmm. So more recently I've started calling the work I do trauma-informed and emotionally literate Alexander technique. Not just Alexander technique. Trauma-informed and emotionally literate. In other words, people are coming to Alexander with histories and their awareness that they want to work through some of their struggles from the past. And I think Alexander can be a very, very effective vehicle for integrating and processing some stuff through the mind-body, through surrender, through allowing, through the prevention of all of these habits and adaptations that we get into as a way of feeling safe. Another way of looking at it is, in the Alexander lesson, can you feel safe enough to explore not doing the adaptations? Does that make sense? To feel safe enough not to do the habits that we had to create in order to feel safe originally. That's it. So it's a bit like, the classic English thing, when we feel sad, we don't want people to see, or we don't even want to feel it, what do? We do, I'm fine. And the voice strains, you can hear that.
Yeah.
The neck tightens, the eyebrows raise up.
Fake smile.
Fake smile, the voice goes high, and we put a mask on. Those masks cause trouble. They disturb the voice and the throat. They can hurt the neck and the back. They can do all sorts of things. But the idea in Alexander is that the pulling up of I'm fine can soften into, I'm not feeling fine, and that's okay. I'm feeling sad, that's okay. I can allow myself to feel and experience stuff that I didn't originally allow myself to feel and experience. And that can be healing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Coming off the adaptations, coming off the habit grooves that helped us feel manageable early on, in the presence of an Alexander lesson, we can get the ball going in another direction. Back to experience and back to balance. And coming off the masks of adaptation and the habits of distortion. That's it.
I've usually got quite a lot of thoughts in my head that overlap, but when I'm with you, my mind goes very quiet.
Yeah.
It's very unusual.
It's interesting that, isn't it, what you say? Yeah, the mind goes quiet. It's not that it doesn't function. It's clearly functioning and you're still intelligent. And you can talk to me about stuff, but it's not speeding and overlapping and ruminating.
Totally not.
It's in a different zone.
Yeah.
And that zone is healthy. It's the sort of stillness that we seek when we do meditation or yoga, but right now you're experiencing it. It's the absence of frazzle, a brain that's just clear and not rushing around and overlapping with thoughts on a treadmill of speed and repetition. It's just here. And that's a healthy mind-body. So it's fully awake and deeply relaxed at the same time. So nothing here and nothing here. Okay, now I'm going to lift up your left leg, and you are just letting me move it. Doesn't matter where to. Yeah. And nothing here. Wait. I've got the arm, don't help me. That's good. So you're just letting me move you. Your mind is doing whatever it wants to do. And you're surrendering to the movement of my hands. That's it. So leave the knee pointing up there. That's fine. The back is doing what it wants to do, which is dropping, melting onto the table. So I've got the head, don't help me. You can probably sense how available your neck is to movement.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like my neck.
Yeah. Yes, it's empty. It's empty of stuff. We could say it's empty of reaction. That's it. Same thing here. I've got this leg, and it doesn't matter where it goes. Yeah, I've got the leg. Don't help me here, and here, and here. Don't help here. That's fine. Yeah, and stop. And I've got the arm. Yep. Same thing here. I've got the knees. Don't help. That's fine. So the most important thing for you when you leave a session is not to commit anything to memory
Yeah.
and try and repeat it and recreate it, because that would imply a certain trying and efforting. And the real work comes in the absence of trying. So it's a bit of a paradox, really.
Yeah.
You want to experience the lesson and in a way throw it away.
Oh.
It's a strange thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bit paradoxical, as in you don't want to be trying to remember or hack it or recover it or repeat it or sense it and try and feel it again.
Yeah.
Actually, it is what it is. And when something pops in, like when you're driving a car, okay, it's popped in. No big deal. It's just information. And there's nothing to do about it.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird, because in this work, the trying mind is the problem, not the solution. So my role is to neutralize the trying mind, neutralize the efforts and self-hackings, where we try and be better, which doesn't work. This is much more about letting and surrendering rather than striving and achieving. Mm-hmm. Yep, nothing here, that's good. Leave the knee there. That's it, leave the knee there for a while. Yep. Okay, so in a second you're going to roll onto your left-hand side and I'll guide you. So you roll. Perfect, and then wait there for a while. Yeah. Yeah, so what condition are you in right now?
Relaxed and alert.
Relaxed and alert. Yeah, how's your
I feel
voice?
as though I've cheated because you've said that, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, how's your voice?
Oh, I hadn't even considered it.
Yeah, but that was your original thing you wanted to explore. If you can listen to your voice, it's just where it is.
Yeah, now you've pointed it out, it's a bit, oh, but when before that it was...
That's right. Yeah, if you think too much about it, then it changes again
Yeah.
within an instant. Then you don't think too much about it. It's just what it is. And then you help yourself off the table with your hands. Yes. Yeah. And then you walk around the room.
Yay. My favourite part. Dandelion
The
seeds.
dandelion stuff, yeah.
There's the normal voice.
That's exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. So what you did before, when I asked you the question, what's your voice like, you went,
I instantly felt it.
That's right. But now you're just hearing your voice without trying to look for your voice.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about not trying to check yourself out, because then by the checking mind creates trouble. So when I say to you, when you leave here, don't go and check yourself and hack yourself and try and retrieve something. It's so important. There's nothing to do when you leave here.
Just be.
You just be, yes. There's nothing to do. If you try and search it out and try and find the good voice, in the process of looking for the good voice, you'll distort yourself.
Yeah.
You'll go, oh, hold on, how's my voice? Oh, gone. It's like, my voice is my voice right now. That's it. Finish. No looking, no checking, no trying, no pushing, no pulling. Nothing. It's the absence of those things that's your Alexander journey. The absence of the trying and the examining and the checking and the correcting. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
The absence of the trying mind, the checking mind, the judging mind, the correcting mind. The absence of that leaves you available to be the highest level of functioning. I know it's very tempting when you go, when you go out of here to think, yeah, but what did Anthony do? And where was he? What was my neck up to? And that very moment, you've just reduced your level of functioning because of the trying, working out mind, and the eyes narrow, and But that's why I'm saying, when you leave here, nothing to do, nothing to think about. It's gone. And it'll recover itself much more quickly when you don't try and recover it. And that's a bit paradoxical, but it works.
It makes sense to me. I would never be able to explain it in words, but I understand it in my
here,
feet.
that's
It's
it.
a feeling.
It's a feeling, yes,
And
yes.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that in this state of nothing to do, that's where you're at. That's where you're at your best. In the state of, what's all that about? That's not so helpful. You can see, that's not so helpful. I am what I am is more helpful. I'm not going to look for it. I can't achieve it. I can't try and remember it. Those are the problems. And the not doing of all of those things is your solution. And you, as you say, you can feel the reality of that because you're in a very, very easy flow state. But when the trying mind kicks in, the flow state is diminished. And you do feel that. That's the essence of it all.